Welcome back to Batman No Man's Land right here at Comicstorian. My name is Benny and I'll be your narrator. Today we're going to be covering the storyline from the late 90s, early 2000s Batman No Man's Land. In this storyline, Gotham is cut off from the rest of the United States. All of the villains have taken up various gangs and they've all separated Gotham very much like the video game Arkham City, and Batman is trying his best to bring back peace and order to the city. What precedes is a bunch of little short stories that all lead to Batman winning back the city. Hope you guys enjoy. All around her, Dr. Leslie Tompkins could hear the cries of her patients. Somebody's baby needs help. Somebody is dying. People need food. And as she begins to open up her medical bag, all she can see is, well, nothing. She promised to help them out, but how can she help them with no supplies? As she tries to come up with a solution, the cries for help soon become cries that a monster is coming. A shadowy man parts the crowd as he walks by, telling Leslie that she isn't safe here anymore. Leslie tries to tell the man to leave her alone, but before she could finish her sentence, she wakes up. It was another nightmare, one that has been reoccurring night after night. And as Leslie walks out of her trailer, she sees that everything is like it was in her dream. People crying, they're begging for help. The only difference is that the monster in her dreams was further away. Laying on a beach, badly wounded and tied down, is that monster. Victor Zsasz. Zsasz is a pure sociopath, cuts a new mark into his skin every time he murders someone. His body is completely covered in them now. Helping Leslie watch over Zsasz is the reformed Black Mask thug, Mikey, who himself has his fair share of cuts. But soon a scream can be heard and Leslie rushes over to the other wounded man named Stumpy, named after, well, his missing right hand. These people need blood, but there's a major shortage. So Leslie steps away to try and clear her mind. However, no sooner does she step away to the neutral zone than she hears something skittering in the shadows. She yells to the person to stop sneaking around and just come out already. Killer Croc, also not her monster, appears asking how is Stumpy doing, and she tells him not good. Croc shouts in anger, telling her that she has to do something. "Stumpy's my only friend left here. He always makes me laugh so hard." Leslie says that she is doing all that she can, but Zsasz is an effective killer. Stumpy has lost a lot of blood. Croc lashes out yelling that he will kill him. He will take that butcher down if he's got to tear this stupid little hospital apart. Leslie puts her hand on Croc's chest, telling him that he'll do no such thing. She will not tolerate any violence in the clinic. Come again in the morning and check on him then. Until then, try to cool down. Croc sighs, telling her that he's sorry. He'll come back in the... But before he could finish his sentence, the sound of a gun going off can be heard, and the bullet lands next to Croc's feet. Ex-Officer Petite holds his smoking gun, telling Croc to step away from the doctor. Croc sinks back into the shadows without saying a word, and Petite says that it was a good thing that they showed up when they did. Hope the rescue earns them a little medical attention. And no need to thank them. Frankly, he would have shot that freak for less than. But Leslie stops him, telling him that she lost her best friend and his wife to gunfire. If he has any intention of stepping into her clinic, then he will damn well do it without the guns. As for Croc, he's been watching over things while one of his friends recover. Petite tells her that they're going to try this again. They're coming off another battle where they're fighting to take the streets back for people like, well, her. He will disarm the injured and she will take them into her little free zone. Meanwhile, he and whoever else will lay a trap for that scaly homicidal freak. They're gonna get one more wacko before the final showdown. As everyone is taken in, Huntress watches over when there's another scream coming out of somewhere in the clinic. Mikey yells for help as Zsasz is digging his pinky into Mikey's wrist. Mikey manages to get away, asking how did Zsasz do that? He's still asleep. He would have killed him. It wasn't that he has killed, it's that he lives to kill. Everybody here is at risk as long as Zsasz is breathing. What is the matter with the civilian do-gooders? Social charity work does not mean anything if you grant monsters refuge. Leslie tells him that she's afraid that that's exactly what it means. Some people may find their purpose through vengeance, but some doctors are pacifists. Huntress then shouts, asking, "You're healing Zsasz on the grounds of pacifism? So that would mean that you wouldn't raise a hand in self-defense?" Leslie says that is exactly what she would do, and Huntress scoffs, telling her, "Right. It would be easy to think that when you have Gotham's Dark Knight watching you." As Huntress turns to leave, she sees Cassandra wearing her old Batgirl costume and she glares at her. Cassandra holds out her hand in an attempt to say hello, but Huntress pushes her to the side and continues to walk. Next, she sees Batman before her, and he asks if she's going to push him out of the way of her too. After a moment of debating if she could push Batman, Huntress steps aside and leaves. This is the monster that Leslie is afraid of. Batman. Leslie asks if he's being a little hard on Huntress, and Batgirl says that she knows why he is. She lost 6 innocents to Two-Face, partially due to her negligence. They have brought in some supplies, gas for the generators, and a few pints of O-negative. Batman pauses, looking at Mikey's bandaged wrist, stating, This is Zsasz's work. He hurries over to the bench where Zsasz is tied up, yelling at him, asking if she's out of her mind for keeping him here. And Leslie runs over to stop Batman from untying Zsasz, telling him that he can't. Zsasz is unconscious. He can't heal like that. He will need an infusion as it is. Batman stares back, asking, Is this what I went through hell for? To save that monster? You will not use that blood that I just brought in for Victor Zsasz. Leslie stares at him, telling him, yes, she will. And if he doesn't like it, he'll have to physically stop her. If Zsasz doesn't get that blood in the next couple of hours, he will die. They cannot allow their only hope to turn into a killer. But before Batman could respond, gunshots can be heard, and Leslie turns back, calling out to Petite. Batman tells Cassandra to follow, but Cassandra motions, asking who is Leslie. Batman tells her that she is not his mother, but she's been like one to him for most of his life. Outside of the tents, Huntress tries to pull Petite's gun, telling him that he does not want to shoot anyone here, and Petite pulls back, asking, What's so different about now? As he falls back, he bumps into Batman, and Batman tells him, Because I'm different. And then another voice yells that they've had enough. Everyone looks up to see Croc in one of the buildings, and he shouts that if no one is respecting the hospital zone, then neither will he! Leslie goes back to check on Zsasz, and Batman follows, telling her that she needs to leave for her own protection. Zsasz is under-deviated in his bloodlust. She will have to give him a better response than the Hippocratic Oath. Leslie stands up shouting, how about her consideration for the world that they live in and her part in it? He isn't the only one with a belief system. Whereas she is grateful for what he does in watching over them, he is being childish and he is being stubborn. And more than that, she fears that she has taught him nothing. She fears that she may sink to his level instead of raising him to hers. A few moments pass in silence without saying a word. Batman turns to leave. Leslie calls out to him, but Batman continues on. Outside in the neutral zone, Cassandra runs up and Batman tells her to stay here. Protect the doctor with your life. Cassandra grabs onto his cape, spinning him around, shouting, What? What is it? And Cassandra motions to her face. Batman tells her that he doesn't know what she's trying to say and he turns away. She then uses her finger to trace some of the rain falling off her face, showing that she's crying. Back inside, Leslie begins a preparation for Zsasz's infusion when suddenly his eyes open. He jumps to his feet, looking around, asking where is he. Leslie tells Mikey to run, but before he could move, Zsasz hits Mikey, knocking him headfirst into a pile of boxes. He starts to move towards Leslie, and she tells him that he certainly has the power to do away with her, but she wants him to consider one thing. Ending her life would end the possibility of medical care to all other people, including himself. He claims that murder is the only way to give him feeling, then she challenges him to feel her. She puts her hand on Zsasz's chest, and she goes on stating that she asks for 1 second of compassion, or at the very least, the loss of her compassion, her attention towards her. Outside, the fighting between Rock, Petite, Huntress, and Cassandra comes to a standstill with everyone watching. Zsasz looks down at Leslie and tells her, You are one brave soul. It's inspiring to see someone act out their true nature. But my nature is to kill, so perhaps you should say your prayers. She begins to lay down on the ground, stating that she will not resist him with violence. And as he looms over, he's suddenly swept away. Croc throws Zsasz into one of the tents, stating, You made a big mistake with Stumpy! And Leslie yells for everyone to stop fighting, and it's at that moment that Batman jumps down with a large cement pipe, sliding it over Zsasz. He picks him up to leave, but Leslie stops him and hugs him. Batman asks, What is it for? I didn't save you, Croc did. Leslie tells him that she just wanted him to know that she would have preferred to lose her life than be the cause of him committing violence. And she's just glad to see him. She's always glad to see him. Later, she continues watching over everyone when there's a shadow once again before her. Batman falls to his knees, telling her that he's sorry for being so violent. Leslie lifts her head, stating that there's no need to be sorry. She told him many times before that he must work towards peace in the city, and she will keep working towards peace in his heart. Do they have a deal? Elsewhere with Zsasz, Batman thinks back to the question and quietly says, Deal. And that concludes today's episode of Batman No Man's Land. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Don't forget, every Sunday you get another chapter to Batman No Man's Land. And don't forget, you can also find us right here on a daily basis bringing you comic books. You get early access by going to our Patreon, patreon.com/Comicstorian. And that's about it. I'll see you guys next week right here at the No Man's Land.